What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Levels, the special Friday edition. I think Cece has fallen off her stack of books.
Yeah, I was
we
trying
knew it
to
was only a matter of time, and she's done it.
I'm watching like the kicks and the promo. I'm like, how many years it take to be able to kick like straight up over your head like that?
Many years to get the kicking game on point. And folks, we have a really fun show for you. It's something out of the ordinary, I guess, because we're actually going to be chatting with our co-host, Ramblin' Ralph Velez, who normally is on this side of it. He's doing the interviews with folks and everything. And then we thought about it, and we were like, we've never really given Ralph a proper interview because he has one of these really fun, cool-ass jobs, and we've never really shined the spotlight on him and what he does. So, together we thought, this is only fitting that we should have our co-host in and actually grill him no holds barred style and ask him all kinds of questions. And you can get in on the fun too. Drop us a comment anywhere that you're watching us on the different streams that we have, and you can ask Ralph questions too. His favorite fighters, his favorite fight, his least favorite things in this world, all kinds of fun stuff. So I hope you're ready, Cece. You got some questions?
Let's go, barbecue.
You got it ready? Okay, let's properly introduce this man, have him on the show. Our friend, our co-host, and the man with the voice that people envy all around the world, Ralph, baby. Ralph Velez, what's going on with you today?
What's up, guys? How you doing? Thank you.
Hey.
And I appreciate that. It's different being in the waiting room waiting to get on as opposed to mouthing it off right from the get-go. So I appreciate it.
Well, we came to an agreement that we were going to do a no-holds-barred interview with you. Now, we realize, in this environment, there ain't nobody trying to lose a job here. So right. I understand from the get-go there's going to be some things that you cannot answer, some names that you cannot name. But you know what? It's not going to stop us from asking the questions anyway, and you do the best you can. So
I agree. I agree to that.
We're going to have fun. Cece, I will let you start off grilling our man Ralph.
Yeah, so before you were rambling, you were Ralph. So why don't you take us from kind of the story of origin? How did you get involved as a ring announcer? What was your path like?
Well, at the age of, I'd say probably 5 or 6, I realized that every time people would come over the house, whether it be family, my father's friends, there was always a fight on. And I'm talking like we would watch the origins of HBO boxing with Barry Tompkins, who, I love, very lucky that he gets to introduce me on the Showbox cards, which is crazy because as a kid, I used to watch him. The origins of the Showtime Chavez era, the Tyson era, like regardless of what was going on in the house, like there was always people and crowds around. So naturally we just became, because of our culture, I'm Hispanic. So like boxing is natural. If you're a Hispanic family and you don't like boxing or baseball, there's like something really wrong going on there. So it was just a natural fruition to that. And I started liking wrestling. It's weird how we went from that to the WWF, right? At that time, that's what it was called. And I became a big Hulk Hogan fan. So like I would just start watching over and over these shows, the superstars of wrestling. I couldn't get up to go to school without crying to my parents about getting up so early. But at 7 a.m., I was up watching the cartoons. And at 10, the superstars of wrestling would come on. So I saw this really small guy, man. His name was Howard Finkel, one of my heroes. And he was for people that are my age, in like 30s or 40s, he was a short guy, short ring announcer, but he had this voice that was like unbelievable. And so I was like, shit, this guy is like amazing. And at 7, I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and I wanted to do what he was doing. So I'm a big baseball fanatic. People think that boxing is my number one sport. It's actually not. It's baseball, then boxing. So I was a baseball head, and I still am to this very day. I was playing the T-ball circuit at 7 years old, and I'm hearing the announcer on the other field just butchering it up. And I'm like, man, that doesn't sound like Howard Finkel at all. I'm like, and then I'm mimicking Howard Finkel around the house. I'm 7. I got my wrestling dolls. I got my grandfather's camcorder, the big ones that used to look like News Channel 5, set that up with the VHS, use my mom pots and pans for the belts. And I'm like, man, I can be that guy. I'm better than that dude. So I brazenly at 7 years old walked up to the announcer at the Little League field and I said, I'd like to announce the games. Like I don't even think you care about what you're doing. They may be paying you, but can I announce a couple of the names? And he laughed at me. Luckily, my cousin was playing for one of the teams, and I got to announce my cousin, and I sounded like I thought Howard Finkel at the time. And the guy's like, man, you're pretty good. Do you want to help me? So it's crazy. From that point on, I would help him announce the Little League games. I would get to announce maybe 4 or 5 or 6. I did that till I was like 20 years old. It was crazy, right? So for 13 years, I was at my local South Phoenix Little League baseball field announcing names for 13 years. Even when I played, I would play the 6 o'clock game. I'd go back and announce the 8 o'clock game. It was crazy. So as time was going on, I just figured, you know what? I still want to do this. I had no idea where to go, how to get into, who to talk to. But I just kept practicing. I mean, I would practice. So then, the Michael Buffer comes on the scene at HBO. First, it was Chuck Hall. And some people are like, man, you sound like Chuck Hall. And I'm like, how the hell do you know about Chuck Hall? Because Chuck Hall was like, the first Tyson when he fought like Pinklin Thomas and, some of the older guys. It was like he was very serious and he wasn't like flamboyant like Michael Buffer, but he got the job done. So I was like, man, this guy's pretty good. And then the Buffer came on, and then you start watching Jimmy Lennon, and you're just like, man, like these guys are awesome. So you start mimicking, you start like taking from them, you start taking the pauses, and you just make your own, right? So I have countless tapes still that I saved of my little boombox that I would record myself announcing, the wrestlers trying to be like Michael Buffer, like, he would announce Iron Mike Tyson, like you just kept practicing over and over and over again.
Have you had any formal training?
No, that was my formal training. Like I told Jimmy too, I said, your matches were my study hall. Like I would sit there and I wouldn't even watch the fights. I would watch them announce. Then I'd get my ass outside and start playing with my cousins, right? Because I didn't care about the fight. I just wanted to see how badass was going to do this fight and how badass Buffer was going to do in that fight. And it just became where it was just in my head. Now, we have to fast forward from the 20s to 32 because it took me that long to find an opportunity. And I didn't go look for it. Like I could have been proactive. I could have said, okay, I got to find a promoter. I'm going to go introduce myself. I just knew that somewhere along the line, lightning was going to strike and it was going to be an opportunity for me just to squeeze in.
You thought you were just
I knew, it was crazy. In all my 20s, I knew that I was going to try to do this somehow. I just didn't know how. And I knew that it would come to me. My friend, Jesus El Martillo Gonzalez, who was back then the only guy to beat Andre Ward. He still is to this day, the only guy in amateurs or pro to beat Andre Ward. He got signed by Top Rank and then got released. A promoter from Canada came in and watched him work out in the gym. He was just there randomly, signed him on the spot, okay, and then signed him to a 5-fight deal. The first fight was here in Phoenix. It was in a sports page. We didn't have the cell phones where we can read, Vegas Sports Daily on our phones. We're like, we're opening shit and reading it, and I saw it there, and I said, "Holy shit, this is it." I don't care what I do. I don't care what I have to go through. I'm gonna announce this fight. So shit, I already have a son at this time. I already have my daughter at this time. So these guys are looking at me crazy because I'm going around the house practicing like I already had the job. I hadn't talked to anybody, and I'm like, shit, I'm doing this fight. So I'm over here announcing in the shower while I'm making them breakfast. I mean, I'm just like nonstop, day after day after day. I finally got a hold of him. I got a hold of the promoter's wife. I said, look, man.
How do you find the wife?
I called the number. The number on it was the yellow pages from Calgary, Alberta. We had the internet back then, but it was, it wasn't like it is now. I found Mayweather Promotions, called it. It was a house number, very small promoter. And I said, look, you guys are coming to Phoenix. Your husband's promoting this fight. And this is where the story gets kind of, you can take it as you want it. I name dropped Muhammad Ali and the fight night shows that he was doing here, the celebrity fight night shows. Every year they still have a show here for the Parkinson's and all the other diseases that are happening right now. So they have a big fight night. I never went to any of them. I never was a part of any of them. I never announced any of them.
But your name dropped them.
Put in the parking lot to do interviews and any of the show. And I told them I announced these shows. Hey, hey, I'm just being real with you. This is exactly how it went down. I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling. I didn't know what to say. I was like, "What?" And I said, "You know what? Yeah, I announced all the shows in Arizona." And at that time, we didn't have shit here, so I'm not really lying. We didn't have really any shows in Arizona.
We've all stretched our resumes.
Yeah,
We've
man.
all stretched our resumes from time
Send me
to time.
a demo. So at that time too, my little brother wanted to be a rapper. So we've got this like Adobe Audition software in my computer. It was a bootleg copy. No lie, that stuff was like $500. We couldn't afford it back then, so we got a generic copy of it. So I was able to make a demo with my voice to add some crowd effects to it and the bell and the cheering. And I made myself sound like a fucking $1 million, man. I was very proud of myself. I was like, shit, this can almost pass. This might work. And I sent it to them, and I got a call back in a week. It says, okay, well, you're going to do the show. It's going to be at the Celebrity Theater, which is here in Phoenix. Holds like 3,000 people. It'll be a club show. And then we're going to try to see if we can get him a shot for a world title. I said, hell yeah. So I'm over here patting myself on the back, whatever. He called me back 2 weeks later. He says, hey, I got good news and bad news. What do you want? I said, well, you always get bad news first. Always bad news first. He says, we're not doing the club show. My heart sank. I'm like, you mean I lied and wasted these damn good
You mean I wasted a damn good lie?
I can't ever use that ever again. Shit. Then he said, good news is we're doing ESPN Friday Night Fights. And I'm like, I'm discouraged because I'm like, dude, I know in my heart I've never announced a television show. I know damn well he probably looked me up and knows damn well that I ain't done shit. He's not going to use me. And he says, you know, I'm Canadian and us, you know, we live in Calgary and we keep our word here. So I fought with ESPN producers because they don't know you and you're going to do the fight. And I thought, you know, Thomas Schreiber's already doing ESPN at that time. David Diamante's in the ESPN circuit at that time. Even Jimmy Lennon was doing ESPN Friday Night Fight sometime at that time. So I'm like, there's no way in hell I'm going to get the gig. I got the gig. So here I am. As soon as he tells me you're doing the show, I fucking fibbed from a lie to a national broadcast in a matter of 2 weeks.
Gosh.
So I'm like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? So again, we just hit the books. I started watching all the fights. Fast forward to the announcing, fast forward to the decision, looking at Buffer, looking at his motions, looking at Lennon, how smooth he is. The fact that, you know, he didn't really look at his sheets, you know.
You could be a politician.
I still look at my sheets only
how
because
many fights were on that card?
There was a lot. There was 9, right? So I got the opportunity to kind of get my groove. As you know, people don't understand sometimes how stuff works. When there's fights on Showtime now, usually there's an undercard announcer, and then there's the guy for the main event, which is usually right now Jimmy Lennon's dominating that scene, which is great. He's my hero, perfect. But usually the undercard guy is the one that takes the brunt end of the workload, because sometimes these PBC cards, there's like 18 fights that they squeeze in because they have a lot of fighters signed. So the undercard guy might do 15 and maybe 2 swing bouts. So he does 15. Then they do a television part. That guy sits his ass down for 2 hours. Then he has to get himself shit together again to go back and finish the 2 fights, because now there's still 2 fights that have to happen. So it's an excruciating night for the undercard guy, and I've experienced it, but I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. So I just prayed. I said, look, I lied. I don't know what the hell's going on. I've never used a fob. So they're like, you need to go and get prep. I didn't know what the hell prep was, or a fob. I'm like, what's a fob, right? They're like, your earpiece. I'm like, oh yeah, the fob. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. We call it something different.
I got this, right? So I'm getting set up and they're testing the microphone, and I'm never going to forget, the director tells me, hey, just to let you know, we've added 3D, because this is when the 3D craze was trying to be in everybody's house. And it didn't. Boxing 3D was horrendous because it just looked like you were drunk. It wasn't really 3D at the time. It was bad. It was a bad idea. So he's like, we're going 3D, and we're going ESPN3. So we're going to go all down South America, all into Mexico. So basically half the world. Good luck. I didn't fucking need to hear that shit already.
I just got used to
I'm
where you're
already
from.
like, we're already in the US. Now I'm in Chile. What the hell, man? Like, this is crazy. So I prayed and I said, you know what? Just put yourself back in the Little League field. Put yourself back at home when you were in the wrestling dolls. Pretend there's nobody there. And I use that every single time out. I've used the same direction, the same prep. I get in there, I look at the red light, and I pretend that I am at home with my wrestling dolls. And that is how I got through the show. We broke a record for ESPN Friday Night Fights that is still held to this day for viewership. We went deep all over, and it was a fantastic night. I did mess up on the main event, and I said introducing, instead of the current champion, I said future champion. And Dan Rayfield, who's never short for words, blasted my ass. Teddy Atlas during the broadcast blasted my ass and says, well, maybe you know something that we don't know, like those old Tyson fights. And I got some text messages and I got, ring, but that was the only mistake that I made. And we got through it. And ever since then, I just started, was kind of going through the motion. We had a local promoter here that started doing fights. They brought in Roger Mayweather and one of Mayweather's fighters. And at that time, I was a huge Pacquiao fan. And they all know that back in the day, I was Team Manny, right? I still like Manny as a fighter. He's still one of my favorites. But they're like, can you go pick up Roger Mayweather and this guy named Bob Ware at the airport? Hell no. First of all, I had a date. Second of all, I'm Team Manny at that time. We're not doing that. I'm not picking up on Uncle Roger. They got money. Let them go get a limo.
Roger Mayweather can win.
Yeah, like, you're not fucking. This is my first date with this girl. I'm not. This is my first date to pick up Uncle Roger. I have Uncle Roger with me on my date. He's probably gonna steal her. We ain't doing all that. No. I gave in. I pulled up to the airport, canceled my date, and I pulled up and I'm looking at Uncle Roger. He gets in my car and he tells me, I don't drink anymore. He says, but my man Bob drinks. He says, and I'm single. What are you gonna do for me? I'm in my car.
You're just supposed to be driving him from point A to B.
I said, Uncle Roger, well, you don't want to go home? He's like, no. He's like, I want you to take me around town. I want to see everything you got to show me around town. We didn't get home till 3 o'clock that morning. It was the best time I spent with them. We became friends that night. And just for people that are watching, never judge a book by its cover, because Uncle Roger was really cool with me that night. And Bob Ware, who now raps for the UFC and raps hands for Floyd, and he's Floyd's Cup man, is now one of my best friends, because we got along so well, and he heard me announce that night, the next night, that he vouched for me and went back to talk to Mayweather Promotions and says, hey, there's a guy in Phoenix that we can use over here. And that is how I got to meet the guys that work at Mayweather Promotions. And I didn't get in right away. It took me a year and a half. So this is what I did. I said, okay, you're not going to bring me in right away? That's okay. They had Jake Gutierrez that lives in Vegas. Nice guy. He was announcing their cards. But, I'm Rambling Ralph. And for me, I'm like, okay, I can get this, right? I can get this.
Yes, we know where you're going to
Rick is saying he's got to hang out with you.
No. Listen to this. So I thought.
We don't even have to ask questions. We can just let you interview yourself. Go ahead.
Just because I got to get through this, and then you guys ask whatever you want, okay? I bought front row seats to each Mayweather show after I met them until they hired me. And I mean, I didn't buy 2 seats. I bought the whole row. And I took all my friends, and I made sure that they knew how serious I was about wanting to be with them and work with them. And I've been with them for 5 years. They are wonderful human beings. They are my family. And I'm going to be loyal to them to the soil, because they are the ones that allowed me to be me and to become what we built and what we're building. And I've experienced the best time of my life with them. And that's the crazy story. I mean, it's out of a damn, movie script, how this kid from South Phoenix, who's supposed to be a statistic, ends up announcing at a Little League field, lies about his job to get on ESPN, and then ends up in Vegas 4 years later. It's wild. And that's why I'm blessed. And I try not to be upset about losing a gig here and there, but it is what it is, and that's how the story became, and that's how Rambling Ralph is in front of you fine people having a drink.
So we do have a question real quick from Jose Valente here for you. So are you a Mayweather fan now because of what he's done for you in your career, or are you still Team Manny? And he says he means that with respect. Real talk.
All right. Okay. So when you see Floyd from the outside,
here comes the politician.
No. When you see Floyd from the outside, right?
Right.
I used to say, man, this guy runs. He don't really want to fight. Why is he running away? Time to engage. Typical fan first, right? And then you see the antics. You see the person that you perceive him to be on the platforms, the interviews, the 24/7, and you're like, dude, this guy is really not a nice guy. When I met him and I spent time with him like alone, I felt like I was talking to somebody totally different. And to this day, I swear to you, when you talk to Floyd Mayweather alone, without the cameras, when he is around, and it could be a few people, it doesn't have to be one-on-one, it is a completely different situation. He is not stingy with his money. He helps people that need help. He'll walk into the gym and say, oh, did you knock somebody out last fight at Sam's Town? You did, huh? Here's $3,000. Go pay off whatever bills you have. Here's this, here's that. Oh, that guy passed away? Oh, I know that kid. Here's that. Take care of that. Unbelievable. And it's I was in shock because I'm like, dude, this isn't the guy that everybody dislikes. This isn't the guy that is fighting with his father. He loves his father. They have a great relationship. And even more so now that Uncle Roger's gone. So to answer the question, I am Team Floyd. I've got to see the other side of him, the business side of him, the side that is very intelligent. People keep saying, oh, Floyd is broke, Floyd this. No, this guy has shares of the biggest Fortune 500 companies in the world. When he says he gets a check for $1 million a month, it's true. I've seen it. He doesn't have to worry about money ever again. He's smart. And now that I see for what he is on the inside, I love the man, to be honest with you. And people give me shit for saying it, but I do love him. I do like Manny too as well, though. And now that Manny's PBC, or he was PBC, and he got to fight and Mayweather Promotions promoted the card, now it's okay to like him out in public because he's now on this side of the fence.
It's kind of family.
Well, what do you think that is? So, I mean, that's probably one of the most popular questions about Floyd, other than this question right here that we'll get to with Sky Moore is Mayweather fighting soon. The question is, what is that? Is that just a persona? Is that money Mayweather? Is that what he thinks that people want to see? Is that asshole personality where he's only out for himself and all about only his money and stuff like that? Because there's not too many times where the cameras aren't on him, So, I mean, maybe you guys see it, but the rest of the world, is that just how he makes his money off of that persona?
I think that if Floyd Mayweather is regular Floyd Mayweather 24/7, there isn't a story to tell. I mean, look at this. Look at what happened yesterday. Okay, I'm laying in my bed, and all of a sudden I get bombarded with fucking text messages about this Logan Paul thing. Okay, whoever started that rumor, look at what's happened in the last 24 hours. You take any other fighter, and I don't care who it is. It could be Spence. It could be anyone, and say, "Oh, Spence is fighting Logan Paul." Okay, whatever. Floyd Mayweather is coming out of retirement to fight Logan Paul. Who the hell even knows who started that rumor? No one, that Kim, whatever that other guy is, put it out on his post, but it blew up. And he's the only one that can do stuff like that. And that persona is the only way that he could continue to run his business and his brand the way he wants to. I will tell you this. Since the pandemic has started and since he's been able to he's had to be grounded because of the flight restrictions, he has been in the gym almost every day. I think he's realizing now that they needed him and maybe he needed them. He's training Gervonta Davis and helping him every single day. Unbelievable. Like if I can squeeze you in there to check out a sparring session when these two are interacting, it's unbelievable. It's like father and son. I'm seeing something that I thought I would never see. It's a beautiful thing to watch. And maybe the pandemic for him and being able to see that the gym really needed to see him around, and he had to be around more of his family and the gym. It's changed a complete 180, as far as like I'm halfway there, but I still have to run my worldwide business. You're going to see me, but you're also going to see me in Hong Kong next Tuesday, and then I'll be in Dubai on Friday. Now it's like I'm here, I'm in the gym, we're building champions. He helped Angelo Leo. Angelo Leo swears that his instruction got him through that fight, which is awesome. Angelo's already talented, but the fact that Floyd was able to give him some tidbits helped him win that fight. He's already said it. It's just phenomenal. So yeah, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of what I see now. Of course, the social media. I even put shit on my social media that I really shouldn't sometimes, and just to get a reaction. And I think that's what happens because he's like the Dallas Cowboys of boxing. I mean, people.
Yeah, he's a real brand. I mean,
Yeah,
he's a
he's
huge
a brand.
brand. Yeah.
I mean, people are talking stuff about him because he's putting the CBD things out on his Instagram because they're used to him showing him with $8 million. You know, every other post is like, I got this, I got that. And maybe he's mixing it up a little bit. And now all of a sudden they're like, oh, why don't you show your money now? What's going on with you? Why are you putting CBD brands up on your post? Like he can win this way or that way, but then he also hears it from that side and this side. So it doesn't matter what he does. He's going to have his haters. He's going to have his followers. And I enjoy the man. He tells me privately that he appreciates what I do and how hard I work. And for someone at that stature to tell me that, it's pretty cool. So
Yeah, Floyd's had a difficult, I'd say 16 months in terms of personal things happening. You know, the Josie Harris passing, the mother of his children, and then Uncle Roger passing as well. And so, and he's not fighting professionally right now. And so, have you seen an evolution of him or a different type of maturity
absolutely,
as a man
absolutely.
in the past couple of years?
I mean, he is like every Sunday, people. Oh, you're right.
She fell. Did you?
I'm the one
So,
drinking, Randy. You did something happening on your neck of the woods.
He's the one drinking, but she's the one falling over.
In reality,
got my coconut water.
in reality, you know, he's there's a fighter in the gym. His name is Robert Merriweather, King Merriweather. He's 15 years old, and Floyd has taken to him. They are working out together. They are training together. And I have seen a unbelievable evolution of Floyd, and I think it's because he realizes how much he was needed at that. You know, it's one thing to be the icon, and it's another thing to say, man, like I really enjoy being in here with these guys. I really enjoy training. I really enjoy giving back. And maybe he thought that they weren't going to reciprocate that love that he was going to try to give out, but I mean, you go on the Mayweather gym when they let you guys in, and you'll see that he's in there daily working out with everybody and being cool with everybody. And it's definitely a big change that he is more allowing of the cameras to be around, allowing for people to come up at his place of work and say hi to everybody. Normally at fight nights, he never used to talk to nobody. He would get, you know, he would try to use the bathroom and there's 1,000 people following him. I mean, you just think about daily life for us, that'd be kind of hectic, and yet he's embracing it and now stopping, talking to fans, taking more pictures. So I've seen a complete evolution, and I love it. I think it's great. It's great for the sport and great for his fans.
I'm going to break in here real quick with a little bit of breaking news, and it's not necessarily sports related, but it is something that will affect us all in our lifetimes. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg has died at 87 years old. She's, you know, served for years and years and years and was a champion of so many different causes for women and, you know, people of all kinds of backgrounds and things. So not necessarily sports related, but I know it's something that touches each one of us. It's really kind of one of those moments. So sorry not to interrupt the flow of it, but I know it's something that we trickle it out here.
It brings me to ask a different question of you, Ralph, because so while you're on your job, like we are right now, sometimes things happen and you have to make an adjustment. It's the toughest night you've had to make when you had to just pivot and get centered real quick?
I'm going to tell you the Tokyo trip when we went to go announce Floyd Intention was kind of rough. Not because of being scared of being in front of 60,000 people. I mean, there was damn near 60,000 people in there. And what Ryzen does is they have on New Year's Eve a card that starts at 8 a.m. and it goes to 4 in the afternoon. Then they take a 1 hour break and then start a whole nother card right after that until midnight. And the Saitama Arena is like a little mushroom. It's really the only arena that I've seen that actually does this. So they have one level of seating, and then when people buy tickets, if they have to, they inflate the arena and seats come out of basically the sky, and it forms into like a 55,000 seat arena.
The hell?
These people were there all day long to either see Floyd or to hope that Tension somehow were to have a miracle and hurt my guy, right? So
were you concerned? Were you ever concerned that Floyd was going to get kicked in the head? That Tension would just like have a weird reaction?
No, because you know what's crazy about Japan is that I fell in love with that country, and the problem was we were only there for like a day and a half. So I don't know, Jeremy, if you have that picture with Kenny Bayless, but I kind of wanted to show it because I was lost there. Like I literally didn't know what was going on because they're supposed to have the Olympics there. And there's my guy, Kenny Bayless. He's my savior. And that lady there is Chisa. She runs the kickboxing and for the WBC and that whole Asian region.
Is this also one you guys running around?
Yeah. So this here is we've landed 2 o'clock in the morning. I can't even go check in. They want me to rehearse, right? So I'm like, okay, not a problem. I don't mind doing it. I know that the culture is very respectful. They want everything organized. But when they handed me the sheets, it's like I don't read Japanese handwriting. I don't understand what's going on. Like, can somebody help me, right? So this poor guy, they got the guy that was handling, like the guy that was the thing is called a grip, where they follow the cameraman and they're holding like the wires or the grip, right? Is that a grip?
Right,
okay.
Yeah.
This poor guy was only job function was to handle the wires and make some money and watch a good fight and go home. They put this poor soul on me because he's the only one that spoke English, like out of that whole group, right? So you have like international directors, rising people, and nobody was like on the English tip except this guy. So this poor guy is looking at me, and I'm like, okay, dude, like it's 3 o'clock in the morning.
You baby.
What's going on here? Like, what am I supposed to be? What do they want me to do here? They didn't want me to do a Vegas style announcement. They didn't want me to because they're like, everybody's too proper here. They're not going to cheer, and it's going to just be like kind of weird and awkward. I said, look, I may never come back here. I may never do this again. I said, I promise you, if people are going to be here all damn day long waiting for Tension and I announce him like he's supposed to be announced, they're going to make some noise. I guarantee you. Just trust me. And we did it, and they went bonkers for him because, like, that's their Bruce Lee. He's like a mega gigantic star over there now. Even though Floyd did what he did, he's unbelievable. He is a rock star there, like Beatles mania going on for Tension in Japan. So I felt like I had to do it, and I had to stand in a certain spot. I couldn't move, like, and if you go back and look at the fight, they have it on YouTube. There's like 11 minutes of like pomp and circumstance, right, that I wasn't prepared for. So the national anthem, then they hand Floyd flowers, and there's like bowing. It's all awesome because they're all very respectful. But I was like, damn, dude, like, I need to get going with this. Like, let's go. Kenny's looking at me. He's like, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know, dude. Just until that guy down there that was supposed to hold the wire tells me to go stand in the middle of the ring.
The guy was supposed to hold the wire.
Don't move. So then I get to the middle of the ring, and Frank Trigg, who's doing the Ryzen broadcast on Fight, he's like, all we're waiting now with the announcements of the fighters. That's all we're waiting for. That's all we're waiting for. That's all we're waiting for. Like, basically, like, dude, come on with it. And I'm waiting on the guy down there that rings the bell. He doesn't speak English. The Q guy that's supposed to cue me doesn't speak English, so I'm just like, dude, somebody help me.
So what was the cue?
Let me know what's going on. Now the Q guy, that there's a, in every broadcast, it's weird. The director will send the message to our fob, but he also sends the message to the guys that are like Barry Tompkins, the play-by-play guys, and then to the assistant. Then the assistant gets the cue from the truck and then points at us. That's why you always see people that are like, wait, and they point because it's got to be a chain of command, just so that nobody gets crossed up. But nobody spoke English there, so I'm like hearing all this Japanese going on, and I'm like, man, dude, like, please, God, don't let me fuck this up, man. Like, I'm really, I'm in a good, composed frame of mind right now. I'm good. Like, I feel great. I feel like I'm gonna knock this out the park. But all that leading up to, we got picked up an hour and 15 minutes before the fight was supposed to start. So we have this driver that's driving the Tesla, and he puts it in self-driving mode, and we're going like Tokyo Drift down. I mean, it was insane.
So
but
wait, so how did you finally get the cue? Did somebody just point at you and then that must be
yeah, the guy ended up going like it all fancy because
because they don't point
at him,
they don't
and then
point, so kind of like
yeah. So Lenny Hart, well, actually, she's God rest all the people that have ever doubted this lady, the queen of MMA, the Pride announcer. She's unbelievable. She was actually guiding me. She's like, you know what? Keep an eye on me. I'll help you. Like, I know that you don't speak the language. Oh, she's amazing. We actually keep in communication because I gave her a lot of respect. She announced every single fight that night, including the walk-in of Floyd. And she told me I have no voice left. I said, girl, it don't matter. You give it like you. I don't even know when Floyd will ever come back here. This is your only shot. So you do what you got to do, and she did it. And I was so proud of her because she literally had no voice. And
well, we do actually have a video of you doing your thing before, I think, the David Benavidez fight.
This video is people have asked me what my favorite night of all time was. It's this video because David Benavidez grew up in my neighborhood. I've known him since he was like 280 pounds. People who have mocked him for his I'm around that. I'm around that area, so I gotta give it to David. He's dropped a lot of weight, over 100 pounds over the last 5 or 10 years, and I got to announce my friend that I've known for 15 years. I got to announce Gabriel, who was a Mayweather fighter, on that night, and it was my first WBC title fight that I ever got to announce. So there it is.
All right, we got this video we're going to show, and then we also got a question from one of our fans. Let's go to this video real quick as soon as I can find it. Here we go.
Gentlemen, we welcome you again to the Joint at Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, Las Vegas, Nevada. This is Premier Boxing Champions Showtime Special Edition. This is the main event of the evening. 12 rounds of boxing for the vacant WBC Super Middleweight Championship of the world. In attendance, to the many more joining us around the world live on Showtime. Let's leave the talk behind. Las Vegas, it's time to shine. World Ronald, the Thrill Gabriel. Fighting out of Phoenix, Arizona, presenting the WBA #1 and WBC #4 ranked contender in the world, a Bandera.
There you go, Ramblin' Ralph doing his thing.
Crazy.
He said, yes, that makes us all miss live boxing shows. When
Hey, Mercedes, that's what
we're present.
I just want to give a shout out to Mercedes, the lawyer, who just left a comment. She's been amazing. She's been on my side for the last 3 years. She's helped me with a lot of things, branding. My new logo is because of her. She's been outstanding, and I love her dearly. And thank you very much for all your help. I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. You're amazing. So,
all right, Mercedes. And this, we have a question from Jeff. How often are you handed a decision to announce that you completely disagreed with the judges on? When is the next Mayweather show? By the way, I love the way you involve the audience so much in your broadcasting. No one does that better. Totally changes the experience of watching boxing. So, a couple questions and then some love your way.
Awesome.
First one, have you ever, what's the most egregious, I guess, judging decision you've ever disagreed with? And if you have any information on when the next boxing show is?
There's been a couple of times where, you know, I have a lot of friends. I've made a lot of friends that are judges now. Adelaide Bird is one of them. And to be honest with you,
Adelaide Bird, come on.
Listen, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. She's a fantastic judge. She teaches,
got that one wrong though.
She teaches judging in the workshops. She is graded still to this day as one of the best judges in the entire world. But I take
politician.
Hold on, it's coming. I've taken a personal responsibility with the judging because it's my friends. So when I ask them, hey, like, what do you see? Like, is it all uniform? And Ricardo Ocasio, who's a regular in Vegas, says, how many umpires are in baseball? I said, well, there's 30, 40. He says, and how many strike zones do you think there are in baseball? I said, well, every umpire, I know this because I'm a baseball guy. Every umpire has his own strike zone. He says, bingo. That's all I'm going to tell you. That every judge sees the way they see a fight in their own mind. Okay? So when it comes to judging decision, man, I really can't. I just, you know, people say the Benavidez Gavril was backwards a little bit. I didn't see it that way. I do have to say Ronald Gavril is the toughest fighter that I've ever seen because for 24 rounds, he battled David Benavidez and took every shot that David gave him and stood there like a man and took every blow. Shouts out to Ronald Gavril. There was a fight on one of the local shows where, man, this guy really got his ass kicked. I mean, it was a 6-rounder, and he probably lost 5 of them. And the kid had been a local star here since he was 5 years old. And there's always a benefit from fighting in your hometown because the judges sometimes go volunteer for the amateur fights and they know you. And all of a sudden their shit is jaded, right? And they don't even realize. And also too, like if you go back and look at the Benavidez Gavril fight, this happens in fights sometimes. You can have the Benavidez fans get allotted tickets on this side of the arena. Okay. And that judge is right there. Yeah. And even if the blow misses, fucking fans go crazy. We all know that, right? And Gavril and the Mayweather, maybe their tickets were allotted on that side of the arena. So that judge is hearing Ronald Gavril hit Benavidez, maybe not hard, but they're making so much noise that subliminally he's giving rounds for someone that maybe shouldn't have gotten the rounds. But referring back to that fight, the kid got his ass handed to him, and it was clear as day. I got the scorecards, and I read them to myself, and I actually turned to the commissioner. I said, are we backwards? Are we backwards? He's like, no. I'm like, are you sure? He's like, dude, it's out of my hands. Read it. I read it. I got about 5 Thirstbuster size Cokes thrown into the ring. Not as bad as Jacobs Chavez Jr., obviously. That was pretty crazy. But nonetheless, the fans were really upset. For the most part, you know, even though it's my job to read the scorecards, I try to make it as dramatic as possible. There was a fight that the only fight that I ever got nervous of was Pedro Angulo and Sergio Mora, only because I paid tickets as a fan to watch both of them. And I'm like, dude, that guy fought Canelo Alvarez. I bought tickets to watch Pedro Angulo fight Canelo. And I was like a man fan. Pedro, yeah, whatever. And yet now I'm bringing him into the fight. It was the most surreal moment. And I found my hand. Like, you can always tell when an announcer is a little nervous because you look at the paper. You don't look at the face. If the paper's moving a little bit, he's keeping the emotions inside of him, and it happens to the best of us. And that fight was crazy. Again, Adelaide Bird was judging that fight, and she had the right score. The other two were kind of off, and I think Sergio Mora yelled something at her like, that's how the score should have been or whatever, and it was pretty crazy. But you never know. Vegas, the judges, they score the way they score, and as a fighter, you have to learn, just like a baseball player. If your umpire's calling strikes one baseball off the outside of the plate, you make adjustments, you crowd the plate, and you cover the outside corner. The same with boxing. These fighters have to be smart enough. Oh, okay, I got Tim Cheatham tonight. He likes the aggressive style. I'm gonna be more aggressive this fight. You have to change it up.
And we did kind of mention, in one of the previous shows recently about how, watching the NBA and then watching the first few NFL games and also with baseball, somebody commented something along the lines of, hey, we like that the referees are just letting them play. And I countered with, I think it goes to show how much crowds and crowd noise actually does influence decisions made by judges and referees in the middle and the heat of the game. And you'll see it all the time. The more NBA game goes on or something like that, or the more NFL game goes on, and you see calls, non-calls, and then all of a sudden in the last 2 minutes, everything's pass interference or defensive flags or
the last 2 minutes of every NBA game, if it's close, the last 45 minutes, and that's when it changes. And you're right. I mean, the crowd does make a big difference, and I noticed that in that fight because I actually sat in the middle of the ring, and every time David would throw a blow, glancing or not, this side of the arena went crazy. That judge scored it for David. The judge that sat on the Mayweather side, he scored 117-111 for Gavril. I mean, 117-111 for both fighters in that fight. If you go back and look at it, how is that so crazy? And then you look at the way the fans were sitting, and it makes a huge difference.
A huge difference. We're talking to Ralph Velez, the ring announcer for Mayweather Promotions, who normally is sitting on the other side of the seat, but has agreed today to take your questions and ours.
Yeah.
Then you guys talk as much. I apologize.
I don't know. Say, there's a reason you're called Rambling Ralph. And we love you for it. You got good stories. Who first gave you that name?
It's actually kind of a sad story, and that's why I've been hesitant to kind of rebrand and kind of move away from that and just go with my regular name now. I had a real good childhood friend who used to play baseball with me, and I still try to coach as much as I can on my free time. So at this time, I was coaching back where I grew up, and I felt like I needed to be back there to help the kids. A lot of these guys that play youth sports, some people don't realize they don't really have two parents, or the parents kind of like are so busy that they drop them off, and basically we become the parents. So I felt like that's where I needed to be in the more of the inner city. And he shows up to one of the games, and he's like, "Man, you're Coach Loud." He's like, "You're like your father." My dad coached me pretty much all the way up to high school, and he was pretty loud and honest players. And he's like, "You're like the Jimmy Mouth of the South Heart of the Little League and boxing, dude. You should call yourself Ramblin' Ralph." And I'm like, Ramblin' Ralph? That's dumb, David. Like, why would I call myself that? That don't make any sense. That's silly, dude. I go, it sounds nice. I go, but I don't want to be known as no Jimmy Mouth of the South Heart of boxing. That's like annoying. That guy's annoying, man. So I got in my truck and I stopped to get a thirst buster at the Circle K, and I said, Ramblin' Ralph. And then I pictured the logo with the 2 R's and the drop down mic, and I'm like, man, it's pretty catchy, like Ramblin' Ralph. I said, okay, well, I kind of do talk a lot. That's what I do. That's what I'm doing now for a living. Like, let's see how it works. And shit you not, like we put that out, and it just started. Like, I've got managers now that call me, hey, Ramblin'. They don't even call me my real name anymore. But he passed away. So before he passed away, he had stomach cancer. His name was David Mesa. And I promised him that I would keep that Ramblin' Ralph going because he's the one that actually gave me the name. And I told him, I said, as long as I'm alive, we'll keep the Ramblin' Ralph somewhere along the line going. We've thought about rebranding a little bit. Like the Ramblin' Ralph kind of is taking its course. We've done what we can with it now that we have made it to where we think that, now we can be way more professional. We go back to just Ralph Velez Jr. and then we move on from there. But man, it's tough to let my friend hanging. I mean, we got the logo up here. It's time to shine. it's everywhere. And I'm pretty sure I'll keep the logo in memory of him, but that's how I got the name, and that's what we've been going by. And, like even Jeff Roning, that guy, he really, I got to give a shout out to him. That guy is a Masters boxing world champion. That guy, if you're 35 or over, they have a Masters division and the amateur division. He's the worldwide champ. And he also is one that supports a lot. And he likes the Ramblin' Ralph name. He's into computers and stuff too. But, at some point you got to kind of grow up a little bit and kind of, maybe get a little bit more professional with it. And we might do that in the future. But that's how the name came about. And I love my friend.
Well, just evolving.
Yeah.
Some people, I mean, hey, I'm going to be the sports nista to the wheels fall.
I like the sports nista.
But I can understand that, wanting to evolve. I think Lil Bow Wow became Bow Wow at some point too. So.
Yeah. And we roll with it. Like some people don't like the antics of the social media. Like I don't have an ad agency. I don't have a manager to push the initiative, to push the brand. We try as hard as we can to post good stuff, to post positive stuff. One thing I do have to admit is that, whether you are on what side of the fence politically, I still love you. But sometimes you want to get your point across, and try to just express the climate of what's going on right now. And sometimes it's maybe good or bad. And I still love everyone. It doesn't mean that I hate people because they pick this side. I don't. It's not that at all. I have been really blessed. Never grow up. Look at Jeff. Jeff never grew up too. That guy's in there. He was actually I was supposed to spar him today, and I forgot my headgear. That guy gets after it, man. Shouts out to Jeff. You got to see him fight. He's on YouTube. Jeff Roning, World Ring Masters champion. And then look at that guy. He's like a model picture right there and everything. That guy's pretty awesome. Look at that guy.
Look at this.
Yeah, Jeff.
On the streets, they call him Pretty Ricky.
The guy's 6'4". He's so hard to. That's why I go and try to look at some of those little Tyson moves when I spar him, but they don't work on him. He's a big guy. But
now, obviously, you've been in the business for a little time, and you've been around, and I guess you guys are kind of compared all the way around. You got Michael Buffer, Bruce Buffer, you, Jeff Houston's a bare knuckle. Ray Flores, I think, still does his thing around there when he's not doing 84 other podcasts and stuff.
Right.
Who would be one of your favorites, and who sucks on that list? Man?
Yeah, who sucks?
We all have ones. You know what? If you don't mention them, I'll mention them. But I want to know from you. I
want to know from you first.
I want to say who sucks. Who you think sucks? But I sucks is kind of a harsh word. Who is your least favorite? Who do you least resonate with?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, it's all about respect, right? Like when I got into the business and I did my first Premier Boxing Champions card, I put Ray on my posts hundreds of times. I thought it was the coolest thing to have two Hispanic kids, because I still think I'm 20 years old, even though I'm 40. I still resonate to the little Uzi Verts of the world. Right? So I told her, I said, Ray, bro, I said, dude, you're lead play-by-play, and I'm ring announcer. Like, I don't ever think that this has ever happened on a national platform. Like, I go, it's two Mexican kids, bro. Like, you're from Chi-Town. You're from
is trying to
there. And so I just respect from my point. I think it's so dope that everyone has an opportunity to get along with everybody and respect everybody. Now, people don't really do that. Some people are afraid of maybe losing their gig. I see it as this. I grew up loving Jimmy Lennon Jr. I grew up idolizing him.
How could you not?
I was sitting in my house as a kid with all my family around, and he's the man on there. Now, when I meet the guy and I talk to him, like, I don't know, Jeremy, if you have any photo there. I mean, we've gone to restaurants. We have spent time together. I mean, I speak to Jimmy on a regular basis just to see how he's doing. Like, that man has become not only just an idol, but he's a friend. He doesn't push me away. He doesn't push anybody away. The man is like awesome, full of respect, full of nothing but encouragement. And there's some guys that just don't like the fact that you're making noise in the business. And You can tell who these people are by the interviews and the posts that they put out. I'm not going to say anything about that. I will let you guys answer that question because, again, I have to see these people all the time. And, but at the end of the day, there is some people that do not like me, and it's natural. It is.
Let me hear somebody talking some smack about Ralph. Let me hear it around me.
They do.
Let's
And
see
the thing of it is that there's nothing to be afraid of, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if somebody comes around, like, I'm gonna give you a perfect example. People were asking me about Jeremiah Gallegos, right? The little dude that announces for DAZN. Yeah. Now, look, does he sound like Michael Buffer? He has said, that's my hero. Michael Buffer is my Ramblin' Ralph's Jimmy Lennon. So I mimic my style with him. And does he sound like Buffer? Yeah, but that's his style, right? You can't hate on somebody for just doing what they want to do. Now, I met him. I got to know him away from the microphone. He's a man of God. He's a good kid. He is really embraced in what he's doing. He loves it just like I do. And we had a lot more in common than what I thought. So even though he works for Golden Boy and works for DAZN, doesn't mean that I have to hate him. Just like other people that work in the same circle as I do, I'm not afraid to lose my job. Because if somebody comes around and says, damn, that guy is good, you know what that does for me? I put my headphones on, I put my thinking cap on, and I go back to the lab. I'm like, okay, you're getting complacent. What can you do better? What can we work on so that you stay improving and stay in people's minds? So it's just a matter of getting the brand correctly.
Is there a other side of the street beef? Do you consider Mayweather to be like the Lakers, and then is Top Rank, are they the Clippers?
Yeah. See, I actually took a chance there and put a hat on while I was on broadcast. Maybe that's these guys right here.
You look like a smooth criminal. That's
yeah. That's these guys right here. Greatest producers, I think, in sports. Chris Gilmore and his son. This guy also produces, I think, the Maury Show and some other show in New York. Fantastic guys. And this is my first ever play-by-play gig. I got thrown into the fire, and I was working with Leonard here in an interview. So to me, if I see Bernardo Osuna, who is one of my greatest friends now, I'm going to give him a hug and I'm going to tell him how badass he is. I'm different. I don't care if you work over there, because I know in my heart that I have been wanting to do this since I was 5 years old. And you're going to know by when I announce, just like Jeff said, Jeff likes the fact that that I, even on non-television cards, and to be honest with you, the non-televised cards are what I like the most, because then I can go pull a kid from the second row and bring them in and give them a shirt and have a little dance contest and involve people, because look, they pay a lot of money to go watch this shit. They pay a lot of money, and I'm spoiled. I get to sit on the apron and I get to have the sweat and the blood and I get to hear the when they get hit in the ribs. I mean, we get to hear it all. We're close, right? We're blessed. We're spoiled almost. For someone to pay $500 to see Diaz McGregor from section 335, where they have to use their microphones or their binoculars and they still show up, that's the person that I want to talk to and say, hey, man, I know you're here. I'm going to give you a shirt. Somehow I'm going to acknowledge you to bring you into this family. And some people don't like that. So for me,
that's why you're the people's announcer. I'm
the people's announcer, baby. And this is my good friend, David Benavidez. I'm proud of this kid. And everybody has mistakes. That's the fight there with the Benavidez that night. That was I kept that. It's one of my favorite pictures because it just reminds me that that's the night that I knew that I belong in the business. Yeah, I actually have that one framed. That was my favorite because I couldn't believe that was happening. It was like, dude, I am literally 4 years removed from having to tell a lie.
Look at that girl's face. She can't believe
the WBC Super Middleweight Championship. It was unbelievable, and still to this day, I have to pinch myself. But I try my best.
I can't believe she's standing next to Ramblin' Ralph, man.
I tried to try my she didn't really want to though. If you go back, she's like, I'm kind of stay away from this guy. He's trouble.
She's in her social distancing.
Yeah, she already had the COVID down. Huh?
Right. You're not going to get along with everybody. Everybody sometimes they feel like they have to protect their nest, protect their company. I really wish that we were able to get along more with other people. I have no diva status in me. You want me to announce a card in the middle of the desert in front of 3 people? I'm gonna give it the same get-go as I would in Tokyo in front of 55,000 people. That's just the way I am. I mean, it's just a blessing to be in there every day. I mean, it's like we live a great life and we're spoiled, and I'm blessed. I mean, like I told you, my story is like a damn an unbelievable Aesop fable almost. It's like, oh, this guy went from eating stone cones and announcing little league games to all of a sudden, announcing in front of 60 people. I mean, the Mayweather McGregor weigh-in show was another shocker to me because that's when I got to hang out with Cardi B. Like, she was my co-host, right? So I mean, they're like, you're gonna do Terrence J and Cardi B, and I'm like, who the hell's Cardi B, right? Because she had barely been on the scene. And she's in there dancing, and I don't know if you guys were actually at the weigh-in show, but she's in the ring dancing, and we're waiting for the weigh-ins to go, and I'm just like, this is wild, right? Like, there's 20,000 people in here, and Cardi B's dancing in the ring, and I got Terrence J from BET asking me to help him with the show because he doesn't know boxing, and I'm like, bro, you have to help me because we're live, and you know about the hip-hop stuff. Like, let's help each other, and just surreal stuff that's happening, like this podcast, for example. We've gotten so many compliments on what we're doing, and bringing on these guests. Like, we're blessed, man. I'm just happy to be here with you guys. Like I said, I don't care if Sky, I don't know, I'm gonna have to start following you, man. You give me like a it's Sportsanista, not me. Okay, Sky. This person ain't here for me, it's for you.
No, but you're absolutely right, man. We do get so many compliments on the show, and that's just cohesion between the group, man, and really our style. We don't take it like you said. We get along with both sides of the street, man.
We're real people.
Bernardo
Osuna called me on the phone, and I talked to other people that do the MMA stuff. AL3, the official DJ of the UFC. He's been one of my best friends for 20 years. Bob Ware, he works both sides of the streets too. UFC, top ranked shows, Mayweather. We can all do this together and get along.
It's a very small, fraternity / sorority. Yeah. It's a very small group. You run into the same people over and over again. And if you got beef, it's going to be a very long night for you.
Well, not only that, like, think about it this way. There's been arguments that I've had, and again, every promotion that I work for, it has not been smooth sailing. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say that me working with a certain promoter, even the promoter here in Phoenix, Iron Boy Promotions, shouts out to them. They've done 60 shows in the last 6 years, and they've done MMA shows on top of that. So, like, those guys are major players in Arizona, and I've gotten into arguments where I threw the microphone down. I was like, fuck this, I ain't working for you guys no more, and I don't give a shit what you guys say. And then a week later, we've made up and we're friends again. It's happened before, and nothing is perfect. If people could see the back end of what's going on back there, it gets frustrating, right? Like, especially with the television show, the bouts change. This guy don't want to fight now because he's asking for more money. Oh, this guy lost his cup. Oh shit, this is going on right here. He has to pee and he can't pee. We gotta wait.
People get arrested because the cops know they're gonna be somewhere, so they show up and snap your ass on a warrant.
That happened before on one of the cards too. Child support came, took his check.
Like, and we had
give me this check right now. We're taking that from you.
We co-promoted this pro wrestling show in Texas along the border, and we had a couple of certain big names from WWE who weren't as big at that time, but they were big enough where they would take side bookings and stuff like that. But if I said those names, people, it would be a scandal. They showed up at the arena. They showed up at the arena an hour before they were supposed to go on, sat in their car. They would not come out unless, one, we increased their pay, and two, we went and got some primo weed from some people. So, I mean, if that happens,
give me a dime bag and $50.
You didn't have to go nowhere. Jeremy's like, I got it right here. You didn't got to worry about that.
That's all you need, bro. Come on, man. Come to the trunk. No, let's see. I mean, and if that's happening on my level where it's small, I can only imagine what happens.
It's a very finicky business, and again, I try to be cool with everybody as possible because, like CC said, the circle may seem huge, but it's not. It's like this, right? And one way or another, one time or another, you are going to need that person again. And it's really funny how sometimes they come back and say, look, Ralph, like, I know we kind of did this, but you know, can we try to do this, or can we do that? I do a lot of charity stuff sometimes as well, because I feel like that I need to. It's my responsibility. That's one thing I'm gonna be honest with you that I don't like about some of these personalities, is that they are in positions to give back and they don't. The Thanksgiving charity drive that Floyd holds with his foundation every year, I don't ask for a room. I don't ask for gas. I don't ask for a flight. I get my ass down there. I get my own room. I go there in the morning and I serve 2,000 turkeys to families that need it, because that's a responsibility that I put on myself. Because if it's not for those people that actually are there and supporting, we don't have fans, we don't have shows, we don't have jobs. And that's just the way it is. And some people don't see it that way. And I'm giving an open invite to people, whoever's going to watch this. If you're in a position to give back, man, give back, please. Like, help, go do something to help the community. I mean, I just don't see enough of it, and it's really sad. But I mean, that's a prerogative. I just feel like it's a necessity. That's just the way I was raised. So
there you go.
Well,
you know?
it says behind you, right above your head, it's time to shine. And we've had a lot of fun with you over this past hour. And you will continue to shine, whether you're going to be Ramblin' Ralph or Ralph Velez Jr. Where are we going to see you next? You're going to be announcing a Floyd show next?
You know, I got some
Floyd versus Logan Paul. That has Ralph written all over it, man.
I'm gonna go ahead and tap my forehead on that one, because like, we got, you know, it's just it's
announcements are coming.
Announcements are coming. There's things that are in the work right now. We've got hopefully I will be involved in the Gervonta Davis fight at some point. That's our promotion. Again, sometimes the PBC, they have their
cousins.
Yeah, they have their set people for whatever they're doing right now, and that's okay. I'm when that situations come about, I handle it, and I just show up and work, and I do what I got to do, and I'm cool with everybody, and that's just the way it is. I don't make a scene. I'm not a diva. Hey, where am I working? Okay, cool, let's roll. As far as a Mayweather promotion alone solely, yeah, we got some cool stuff coming up. We got like it or not, Rolly's a champ, and Angelo's a champ now, and we got Xavier Martinez, who's going to be fighting, I think, on the 10th of October. That guy's dope, and he's going to be a champ soon. So we're going to have a lot of future.
You've got two other promotions. So you've got the relationship with Impact, but there's some.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Duh. Impact Boxing, October 10th in Minnesota. We're doing a show there. I'll be announcing that show. I got word on that today. Nice. And Jeremy, I don't know if you have this that picture of the EKIC. You guys remember that movie Bloodsport, right? With Van Damme, and there it is. So check this out. So
International Championship. Nice.
One of the original co-founders of Bare Knuckle FC decided, and this is just, you know, from what he's saying, that he didn't want to take Bare Knuckle FC to that level. Like, I don't want to say nothing is trashy, but Bare Knuckle FC is like, hey, let's go to the backyard and let's get down, right? It's
one different. Is more core, the other one is not.
Is the oldest combat sport that's ever existed in this world. So it was supposed to be back in the day with formality, with like formal, you win in suits. You know, these guys were, you know, it was a mustaches here and elegance, and you know, everybody had it, and that's what he wants. He wants to bring that back, right? So it's
while they're fighting in suits.
No, well, when you showed up to these fights back in the day, everybody had suits on. It was like a real special formal event. But then you got the other side of it, which is the Kumite, which I still watch Bloodsport to this day. It's one of my favorite movies. And I was
about to say, for people who recognize the word but don't know where they know it from, it's Jean-Claude Van Damme. It's Bloodsport. It's the Kumite.
Bloodsport. That movie, they only had $1 million budget for that movie, and it went as a natural phenomenon. And that's something that is really impressive with that movie. But he's going to take that, and we're going to make it to an arena style promotion, and it's going to be fantastic. And what he's doing,
they got to take the reps.
I know, we got to get the glass reps, right? But what he's going to do is he's got motion picture companies aligned. He has clothing manufacturers. I mean, big names aligned. And this is going to be when you're signed to EKIC, like you're not going to have, and excuse me, I don't want to bash anybody, but you're not going to have to just wear Reebok or any deal or whatever you got going on. I mean, you're going to have like, holy shit, this guy's making as much on this endorsement deal as he is in the fight. Oh, and by the way, you're going to be in this movie. Oh, and by the way, you've got this going on for you. So like the champ of EKIC is going to be like John Cena times 10. It's going to be the way they have it set up. They have an advisory board of all these mega producers and movie. It's going to be fucking awesome. And I cannot wait. It's something when you get into something and you become part of it, but it's something when you start something from the ground up and you make it your own. And their goal is to be worldwide. It's going to be like a Street Fighter video game, but in real life. And it's going to be amazing. It's going to be.
If Van Dam doesn't coming out before each show and do some splits. Or some split air kicks that
I won't be able to get up. I'll be stuck down there.
Bro, yeah, you and him doing a split off. That'd be great.
That's what we got going on. I mean, Mayweather's always number one. I'm loyal to them. Mayweather's going to be my number one forever and a day. I told Floyd that I'm there, and Leonard, shouts out to Leonard Allaby, Nicole Craig, Kenny Craig. Those guys love me. They worked so hard to try to make Mayweather Promotions a household name as far as like the fighters. We have signed a lot of young talent. We're going to continue to sign young talent.
Yeah, and if you're in Vegas, if you're a Vegas local or whatever, and you've never been to Sam's Town and seen, the fights that they were putting on, I know right before this, all the last couple of years. I mean, on a nearly a weekly basis at Sam's Town doing the thing.
They're awesome.
You see upcoming local talent and the brand new signers and everything. The guys before they're stars, but you also have the guys that are trying to make a name for themselves. They're out there. They're trying to, they're fighting for a place in their stable and things like that. So you got guys that are going out there that are giving it their all, man. They're swinging for the fences. Lots of action. Great technical boxing too. Mayweather Promotions puts on damn good shows.
Yeah, I used to be a Dodger fan before the Diamondbacks came to Phoenix, and I remember we used to have a minor league team, and the Dodgers newly signed people like Raul Mondesi and like all these guys would go play there, and Mike Piazza, and I'm like,
you'd see him there.
I paid $10 to sit in the front row, and I want these super mega millionaires that have already been signed and they're getting ready to go to major leagues. And that's the same thing with Sam's Town. You see these guys up close. You pay $20. You're like sitting fifth row from the ring. It's so intimate in there. And to be honest with you, that is the best sound system that I've ever announced in.
Oh, the DJ is popping down there too.
In my life.
Yeah.
Plus, too, like we don't do a lot of the shows on Showtime. We have a lot of the like local shows, and it's our stream, so we get to have fun and do mess around and interact with the crowd. And that's Sam's Town Live is lit, man. Those shows get pretty good. Yeah,
that's
so
good stuff, man.
We have a lot of stuff going on. We just got to keep going. I've got a CBD line that we're working on that we have involved the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame, the legends, a couple of the young stars. We've got David Benavidez involved with that. So we've got a lot of stuff coming up as far as me wanting to help fighters make money. The one thing I want to say before we leave here is that me being in the sport and seeing the backside of it for the last 9 years, I've seen that fighters really struggle, and it's real. It's not a joke. These guys are living check to check, fight to fight. Even the guys that have title belts, you think it's all fun and games when they're out there winning belts. You think they have all this money. But in reality, they have to be pretty careful.
They're like working in hospitals. They working in the Costco.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They do whatever they can. They got child support. Some of them do. They got real responsibilities.
Yes, ma'am. And I thought, okay, let's do a website where all these fighters can do sell merchandise. Like you see these fighters that make merchandise only when they're fighting, and they have to pay for it themselves. So I had an idea. Okay, let's build a website. Let's make the merchandise for them. We'll get it out to their crowds, and they get a percentage. They don't got to buy anything. Well, that doesn't really work because people don't really want to sell their own socks, man. It's like whatever. Like, but with the CBD thing, it's different because this boxers are already using it. Yeah. Everybody's using this stuff right now, and it's going to be $1 billion market. And why not be able to say, okay, David Benavidez, you've got your own line of CBD. This is your strand. The legends, we're going to do a more subdued, relaxed, go to bed type of strand for you and get these legends some income. I mean, I'm looking at these guys that were world champions in the 80s and 90s that really fought the top guys, and every single time fought champion after champion after champion. And I'm looking at them like, man, I really wish that, you could pull up in your little Ferrari or your little Corvette or truck or beautiful car that you want to pull up in, but you can't because you didn't make that money and you got no retirement system and there's no union. There's nothing for them. And it's sad because they can't even go out and buy life insurance because they don't offer it. Because if you get hit in the head, guess what? The insurance company is going to lose. They don't want to touch it. So we're working on stuff like that. I just want to give back, and I want to try to make not only my name as far as the announcing, but I want to leave a legacy for helping the sport, helping the boxers, being there for the fans. And it's just different. And that's why some people don't like it and some people do. And unfortunately, for the people that don't like it, I'm going to keep doing it because that's what I'm here for.
Yeah, if you ain't got no haters, you ain't working hard.
Hey, I got to do it for Muhammad because I name dropped him and I promised him. And I shit you not, when I pray at night, I pray for him because I name dropped him. And there's a reason why good things are happening. And I know that because I use his name, that I have to do something for him and for his legacy, and we got to continue to keep doing that. And that's the God honest truth that I really believe that I'm here for a different purpose. The announcing is just a way for me to help and do other things. I really truly believe that. So as long as we're able to do shows and be a part of this industry, even the MMA side, I'm not a huge fan of the MMA, but I guarantee you that when you put the mega fights in there, I'm watching. Like your interview with Cyborg, she's amazing. She's fantastic. There are certain fighters in that realm that are just like, wow, like you really got to follow this person and you really got to pay attention because, I mean, you want to talk about life stories that these guys go through. Like the video with Cyborg having to drop that weight when she's sitting there almost killing herself. I mean, who the hell's gonna do that? Like, not very many people are. They're just gonna be like, shit, just take my money. I ain't doing all that craziness. Yeah. Not her. Yeah. Not her. So there's people that are good for the sport, and I just want to be one of them. And you guys are fantastic, and that's why I dropped my own podcast to be a part of you guys because I believe in what you guys are doing. I love it. And
you guys is us guys.
Well, no, I get it. We're a circle, and Mike too. He out there doing his thing. I mean,
he's been texting us, by the way. Yes, while he's texting us saying he just finished up doing whatever he was doing in the streets, not realizing we are all together.
But I just want to thank you guys for allowing me to be a part of you guys. Allowing me to express the way I feel. Like I just feel like that we're going to make a big difference in the years to come. Whenever we bring people on here, we're just real with them, and that's the way we live our lives, and that's why people take to us. Some people don't like it because we're too real and we're too honest with people, but that's the way you have to be. There's no fake here in any of us because people can notice that shit right away. That's why I stay away from certain people and I associate with the real ones. Because that's what I'm about, and we got to do what we got to do to make this industry better. And I love you guys. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Definitely appreciate you,
there you
Ralph.
go. Thank you, Ralph, so much. Yeah, I'd say we'd see you down the line, but the down the line is next week for the next round of shows that we have.
We got a major surprise next week too. So you need to get in, Jeremy. You need to stop being behind the scenes and get in.
Come into the screen.
I will. I'll come to the forefront. As video guys, we're used to being back here.
Turn it off.
There.
That's what you got.
Yeah, turn it off there. And
by the way,
Ralph's gonna be doing this thing, but Cece, you're in the bubble for UFC, right?
Yeah, I'm in the bubble. Actually, just before this show, I ran and got my COVID test for UFC Vegas 11. Tyron Woodley and I was going to say Kamaru Usman.
Your boy Kobe
Covington. Got an interesting story that I'm going to be posting for lvsportsbiz.com. It actually ties into what I'm about to say real quick. The Ruth
Bader. Was that you that asked the question?
Which one?
The one with Black Lives Matter? Was that you that asked that question?
No, I didn't go yesterday. We had a bunch of testing going on with the kids, so I couldn't leave them. But yeah, nah. So it's going to tie in a little bit to what I'm about to say. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, her passing kind of hit me hard. It was something that was expected as we started to see the current president's short list of Supreme Court nominees getting leaked out. It was kind of an indication that there was going to be an opening very soon. Vote. And you need to have a plan right now on if you're going to, how you're going to vote, whether you're going to the polls, where you're going, and what time. If you're voting early, if you're going to be voting by mail, you need to vote as if your life depends on it, because we have a vacant Supreme Court seat. And the current squatter in the White House that says, and I don't consider this politics, this is real life. These are individuals who directly impact how I live, how my children are going to live. And if I'm blessed enough to have grandchildren, it's going to impact how they're going to live too. With the passing of the great RBG, it should be more of an imperative that you need to get your ass and your friend's ass and your cousin's ass out to the polls. And there needs to absolutely be a laser focus on changing the current administration. Just saying.
There you go. How do you follow up that except to say, I'm Jeremy Long, she's the Sportsnista, he is Rambling Ralph Velez, and we are Levels, and we will see each and every one of you here next week.